for 10:03 p.m. Central Time, and it's a 4-second burn with a delta V of 2.7 feet per second. This will use the reaction control system thrusters on the spacecraft.
Houston Integrity crew comment. The D&E locker doors are much easier to get in and out of than we experienced in the mock-up, probably because it's zero G and all that. So just a comment there. In fact, when we first got up here, we were actually saying we might just keep them on. We have elected so far this mission to not install the nets over D&E because we are in and out of there so much, and we were able to use the CTBs themselves for foot restraints. We have elected so far this mission to not install the nets over D&E because we are in and out of there so much, and we were able to use the CTBs themselves for foot restraints.
Great data. Thank you.
The crew is stepping into their procedures to begin the Ox suit demo, the Orion Crew Survival System demonstration. The beginning of this is just cabin configuration. That means closing the hygiene bay door, removing the bungee where their stowage has been. It also means stowing or unstowing and routing umbilicals as needed.
Jam's data point is the D1, E1, D2, E2 doors are all identically labeled, but Jam's data point well, I guess they're not, but D1, the D1s, E1, D2, E2 doors are all identically labeled. D1 and E1 have to go under the seats, and D2 and E2 have to go down at the bottoms, and I think we goofed that up to start. Well, D1 and E1 have to go under the seats, and D2 and E2 have to go down at the bottoms, and I think we goofed that up to start.
Oof, yeah. The IVA console's telling us about that little slot that needs to be facing nadir. Sounds like you guys got it. Thanks. Oof, yeah. The IVA console's telling us about that little slot that needs to be facing nadir. Sounds like you guys got it. Thanks.
Houston Integrity, another stowage note for boots. Reid took a picture, but a great way to stow the boots is behind the foot plate on seats 3 and 4 with the toes facing. Reid took a picture, but when you try to stow them on behind the foot plate, come off on their own. 3 and 4 float off eventually, but the stowing them behind the seat, when you try to stow them facing the seat, clips is a great way to get them stowed efficiently and off eventually. But stowing them behind the seat, toes facing the seat, is a great way to get them stowed efficiently and use space efficiently.
Copy all, top tip. Thanks, Christina.
Houston Integrity, we would like to request that you all read up the contingency seat settings. We think that would be how we would be doing this if needed. Houston Integrity, we would like to request that you all read up the contingency seat settings. We think that would be how we would be doing
we're
this
getting them
if
ready.
needed.
Copy, we're getting them ready. All right, Integrity, I have your contingency seat settings required. Where do you want to start? All right, Integrity, I have your contingency seat settings required. Where do you want to start?
And then seat 1 shoulder bolsters. Seat 2 shoulder bolsters first, and then seat 1 shoulder bolsters.
Seat 2 and Seat 1 shoulder bolster pit pins are in slots 17 and 18 for both. Seat 2 and Seat 1 shoulder bolster pit pins are in slots 17 and 18 for both.
Jenny, we'll take headrest for seats 1 and 2 next. And question, we may have missed it, but what do we do with the orb mount for the left or right seat? Jenny, we'll take headrest for seats 1 and 2 next. And question, we may have missed it, but what do we do with the orb mount for the left or right seat?
You'll be temp stowing the orb mount. If you want a locker location, we can get one ready for you. And the headrest post position for seats 1 and 2 are both 9. If you want a locker location, we can get one ready for you. And the headrest post position for seats 1 and 2 are both 9.
And Jenny, I may be missing it, don't have a stow note location for the orb mount, so we will take one from you. Thank you. And Jenny, I may be missing it, don't have a stow note location for the orb mount, so we will take one from you. Thank you.
F1 large, labeled AGA General Use Brown. F1 large, labeled AGA General Use Brown.
You're looking at a live view inside the Orion spacecraft named Integrity at the Artemis II crew as they are getting into their OX suits demo. OX stands for Orion Crew Survival System. These are the suits they wore during launch. They have orange suits right there. They'll also wear them during re-entry, and these would be the suits they would put on in the event of a depressurization in the spacecraft. Today's test is going to allow the crew members to don or put on their spacesuits. Two will do so at a nominal or normal pace. The other two will do so at a rapid pace. Currently, they're working on installing 3 of the seats. Once they have donned their suits or put on those suits, the crew will then install seat 3. They want to do that while the suits are pressurized to understand how they would do so in the event of a depressurization if the seats were not already installed.
All right, just a little feedback on the headrest settings. It wasn't clear how to set setting 9, but we like what we're seeing here, and we think that if we were in a real situation, we would press as is. It wasn't clear of the setting 9, but we like what we're seeing here, and we think that if we were in a real situation, we would press as is. I'll get a picture of the config.
You'll hear the crew call down feedback on several of the steps they have listed. Earlier, we heard good feedback on how Commander Reid Wiseman had stowed their boots. This is all to help prepare for future missions in writing procedures for astronauts who will fly around or to the moon on future Artemis flights.
Copy, Christina. We're happy for you to keep going, and thank you for the photos.
Those suits will be pressurized to 4.3 psi.
Copy, Christina. We're happy for you to keep going, and thank you for the photos.
Those suits will be pressurized at 4.3 psi above a 10.2 psi cabin, so they'll be experiencing 14.5 psi in total. Once this crew is in their suits and the suits are pressurized, they will need to get seated. This is a difficult task while pressurized. It may look very simple, but it can be exhausting due to that suit being pressurized and expanded, as well as the umbilicals being connected.
Jenny, we are ready for the position to latch the leg assemblies onto the seat backs for 1 and 2. Jenny, we are ready for the position to latch the
one and two,
leg
you're looking for
assemblies
the seat pan
onto the
position.
seat backs
You will
for
be
1
putting
and
the pit
2.
pins in position 3 and 7 for both seats 1 and 2, you're looking for the seat pan position. You will be putting the pit pins in position 3 and 7 for both seats.
As you can see, the crew is now installing the foot restraints for 2 of the seats. These were removed after ascent. This allows the crew more room to move about the cabin throughout the flight, but they must be reinstalled prior to entry. So with today's demo, as the crew will be getting seated while pressurized, they need to install those foot restraints.
And Jenny, we are going to leave the foot pans all the way in for now for suit on.
Copy.
Jenny will take shoulder bolster settings for C4.
Christina, for seat 4, the shoulder bolster pit pin locations are the same as the nominal, so they should be Sharpie marked for you, setting 20 and 21.
Houston, we will take headrest settings for C4, please.
Seat 4 headrest setting for contingency is 9, which is the same as the setting that you have nominally. And for this, just a reminder, we're looking for on the seat post, there's a little trapezoid. You want the bottom edge of that trapezoid to align with the numbers on the seat back.
And Jams, for seats 1 and 2, we, based on that call you just made, thank you for the landmarks, we think our seats are currently set to 11. Seat 1 and 2 seat back posts are at 11, and we launched that way. We're going to leave them that way for now.
Copy, and that is the launch setting. We are happy with that if you are.
Hey Jenny, we've deployed the post, and apologies, wasn't quite ready to, turns out, absorb all those numbers. So the bottom of the trapezoid. Hey Jenny, we've deployed the post, and apologies, wasn't quite ready to, turns out, absorb all those numbers. So the bottom of the trapezoid aligns with which
you can find that just
line?
on the seat back itself. For you, Christina, it will be a setting of 9, and you can find that just on the seat back itself. It should be right beside the post for the headrest, and it's the same as your nominal launch setting. Copy, thumbs up. Copy, thumbs up.
All right, we're good, thank you. All right, we're good, thank you. for installing the headrest, we're looking for the right Sharpie mark. Do we understand that the lower part of the headrest mounting bracket should align with the Sharpie mark on the post?
Christina, we think that sounds right, but we might be misinterpreting your words, but we think that sounds correct.
Okay. Yeah, I think we feel comfortable with it, and you did say that both of my settings were launch settings, headrest and post, correct?
Affirm, Christina, they're the same for you.
If you're just joining us, this is Artemis Mission Control at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Mission elapsed time, 3 days, 20 hours, and 48 minutes. However, we are on flight day 5, and a major event for today is the Ox Suits demo. This is Orion Crew Survival System suit, and if it looks like the crew is preparing the spacecraft for re-entry, they are not, but this is a necessary step ahead of donning or putting on those Ox suits. As this is the first flight of humans on the spacecraft, we're using this entire mission as a test for all systems. That includes using these suits for survival if needed. If the spacecraft were to depressurize, the crew would be able to put on their suits and have a breathable environment for up to 6 days. This is the first test of the crew putting on these suits in the microgravity environment. They will then pressurize them and get into their seats, conducting some tests along the way.
Hey Jenny, can you check the WAP and make sure the WAP is still connected? We just had, we crimped the Ethernet cable when we removed the seat 3 seat pan.
Checking. And Reid, we see a nominal connection to the WAP. Everything looks good. Thanks for letting us know anyway.
Acronym breakdown for you. WAP stands for Wireless Access Point. The crew is continuing to set up for the Aux suit demo. That's Orion Crew Survival System.
Houston Integrity for seat restraints.
Go.
Hey, Jenny. We have elected, if you agree, to not use the crotch belt seat restraint tethers because we see that they are floating and we think that they will be easy to retrieve without the tethers.
Copy. That looks really good to us as well. Thanks.
Inside the Orion spacecraft right now, the crew continues to step through their procedures during the OX suit demo. This is Orion Crew Survival System. NASA astronaut Christina Koch is taking pictures of the configuration of the seats so far. Again, on this test flight, everything is being carefully documented so that it can be used in reference and for planning for future missions aboard Orion. Again, the crew will be putting on their OX suits during this demonstration. Nominally, or on average, they would only wear these during launch and re-entry, but for this mission, we are testing out what they would need to do if there were a depressurization in the cabin. These suits would provide them a breathable environment for up to 6 days, and they also have the ability to take medicine, eat, and drink while in the suits, so all of those things will be tested out today. Now, once they put on these suits and pressurize them, they will expand a little bit, and it'll make it a little more difficult to move about the spacecraft. That's why this test is so critical to help team members write future procedures for future crews.
Hey everyone, quick note on how the harness straps are sent up. If you can see, when they were sent up, both of these were all the way flush with this, and it made it pretty hard to start the pull out to make them be adjustable. It would be great if they're just separated and maybe flown in a config like that.
Copy and noted. Thank you.
If you're just joining us, this is Artemis Mission Control, now on flight day 5 of the Artemis II mission. The crew and spacecraft are now over 219,900 miles away from our home planet of Earth, 57,850 miles away from the Moon. The crew woke up today at 11:05 a.m. Central Time, and after their post-sleep period, quickly got to work. This is the Ox suit demo, Orion Crew Survival Systems suit, those orange iconic suits that you saw them wear during launch and that you'll see them put on ahead of splashdown. This demonstration is to test how the crew would get suited and seated if needed in the event of a cabin depressurization. This demonstration is expected to take up most of the crew's day ahead of the midday meal, with that midday meal coming around 6:30 p.m. Central Time. In the remaining half of the day, the crew members will obviously have their midday meal. They will also get into some burn monitoring operations. We are expecting the outbound trajectory correction 3 burn today at 10:03 p.m. Central Time. Outbound trajectory correction burns are small maneuvers using the reaction control system thrusters on the spacecraft. These help refine our trajectory as we are heading around the Moon and coming back to Earth. The initial burn to send us on that flight path was executed on flight day 2. That's the translunar injection burn. We previously canceled OTC burns 1 and 2. The trajectory was sufficient at that time, and those were not necessary, but the team does intend to execute OTC 3 this evening.
We see that in the video. Thanks, Christina.
Okay, just to update you, Jenny, we finished all the seat config stuff. We're grabbing out the snacks now and continuing.
Copy, that sounds good, Christina. And just to let you know, we have a pretty big delay on the video, so for things you're trying to show us, we just might call them a bit late.
Houston Integrity for timeline sync.
Go ahead.
Jams, we are nearing the time of having y'all go off board so that we can get into our suits. Just wanted to check in with you on timing or anything else you've noted that you want to share before we get into that.
Thanks for letting us know, Christina. That syncs with everything that we've been tracking. We just want to update you that we don't believe that we will do any objectives at the lower pressure, so at 3.7 psi-D at your suit delta pressure, and we're also looking at adjusting the objectives during the first set as well. So we'll continue to talk about that, and in the meantime, you're go to continue.
This is Artemis Mission Control on Flight Day 5 of the Artemis II mission of our 4 astronauts around the moon. A major activity for today is the Ox Suit demo. That is Orion Crew Survival System suit. The crew wears these suits, that orange iconic color, during launch and re-entry. They would also wear them if needed during a depressurization in the spacecraft. Obviously, we are not tracking that today, but this is a great practice opportunity for this crew to learn how to put on these suits and get into their seats. Everything that we learn on this mission, it helps us.
Integrity Houston, we still have a camera view. We see nothing, but it looks like part of the side of the DU, but wanted to let you know it's still on.
Everything we learn on this mission, including the steps taken today, help us prepare for future crewed missions aboard the Orion spacecraft. Now, while we expect to have more views coming back from the spacecraft, the crew has asked that we go off board for a moment while they don their liquid cooling garment and their comfort garments that they will wear under those suits.
Integrity, that is a better view on the camera. We are a little worried about it becoming unstowed, but right now all we see is the plastic bag and part of the Pelotor. So that's good for now, and a reminder, we'd love timing for your suit up.
On your screen in the black is Capcom Jenny Gibbons, Canadian Space Agency astronaut and backup Artemis II crew member. To her right, Capcom Tess Caswell. This view, a visualization of the Orion spacecraft, its current orientation and distance to the moon, which is now 57,323 miles, continuing to grow closer by the minute as the spacecraft is traveling 1,554 miles per hour. You can access this at any time by visiting nasa.gov/trackartemis. A recap of who we have flying aboard the Orion spacecraft for the Artemis II mission. We have Commander and NASA astronaut Reid Wiseman, Pilot NASA astronaut Victor Glover, Mission Specialist 1 NASA astronaut Christina Koch, and Mission Specialist 2 and Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen. Currently, the crew members are getting into their OX suits, those Orion Crew Survival Systems suits. This is part of the demo during which those suits will be pressurized and also have leak checks. And if you're just joining us, this is all a test. This helps us determine how the crew would need to ingress or enter those suits quickly in case of a depressurization in the spacecraft. They'll also need to enter or put on their suits ahead of returning to Earth, as these are what they wear for launch and re-entry.
At night and just looking out at the moon in whatever phase it was in, and I was thinking, man, my friends that live like 20 miles away, they can probably look out and see that same exact moon. And then when I was in the Navy and I would look out at the moon and I'd be halfway around the planet, I would think, man, my brother can see that moon where he is and he's halfway around the planet from where I am. To me, it's a connection of life on Earth. We can all look up and see that moon, and it's always changing. The moon is never the same 2 days in a row. I love that. My name is Reid Wiseman. I'm the commander of NASA's Artemis II mission around the moon. I grew up in a little town just north of Baltimore, Maryland, about 20 miles north of the city. There was a National Guard base nearby my house, and there were A-10 aircraft that would fly over every now and then. I just would look up at them and be like, man, I want to be up there. I want to go do that. And then my brother went to the Naval Academy, and I would go every year and watch the Blue Angels fly during commencement, and that just started to grow and grow and grow. For a while, I wanted to join the Air Force, and then I realized Navy flies as well, and they fly from ships in the middle of the ocean, and that was it. Like, done deal for me. That is exactly what I wanted to do for my career. Flying is freedom to me, especially when you're in a jet aircraft coming off of an aircraft carrier in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Nearest land is over 1,500 miles away. So when you come off of that aircraft carrier, you are truly just alone with yourself out there. It is a magical experience to be out there all by yourself in an aircraft over the Pacific. It's free. I think anybody who accomplishes something that they set their mind out to, there's no one thing that does it for them. It's a combination of everything. I mean, the way my parents raised me, the way my brother and I, the way our relationship developed over time, my friends, being in the marching band, going to college, setting my own course, learning how to live on my own, being mentored along the way, being, kept on the path to success, but being given the freedom to, make excursions and fail every now and then and regroup and carry on. I think all those things come together in the end to get you where you are. I've had to overcome, I'm a human being. I've had to overcome a lot of fears. I'm pretty scared of heights. I joked about that on the International Space Station, but it turns out I'm only scared like at the edge of a building. When you're up on the International Space Station, even though you're 250 miles up, I never had that feeling of falling or that I was, at risk up there. I just kind of loved the feeling of floating and looking down at Earth. There have been challenges all throughout my life. By far, the biggest challenge was losing my wife in 2020 to cancer and now raising 2 daughters who are grown up now, but that's been the biggest challenge by far I've ever had to face. It is not easy. Being an only parent, trying to work a full-time job, and raising 2 kids is something that I think about every single day. I'm very proud of the work I've done. I haven't always done it well, but I've always shown up and tried as hard as I possibly can. Say again.
We have you loud and clear, CSA.
Good. It's you.
Thank you, Jeremy. We have many Canadians who are eager to ask you some questions. We're going to start right ahead with those. The first question is from Dia in Mississauga, Ontario.
Do astronauts get special training to do CPR in space? How do you actually do that when there's no gravity?
You just have to help me out with that question. Was that about CPR training? Is that what I caught?
That's right, Jeremy. You're asked do you have special training to do CPR in space, and how do you actually do that in zero gravity?
Yeah, it's a great question because we're all alone up here, just the four of us, and if we ever had to do it, we definitely want to plan. And so we talked about it on Earth before we came here, and one of our tests this week was actually to try those techniques out. And we have about 3 different spots in the capsule where we can do it. There's probably one that I can show you in the camera view if I just slide Reid over here. And so what I need to do is support myself and have him against something. So if I put my back here,
We rearranged the wall.
and Reid here, I can push on him. So this is one of our CPR objectives in space. This is actually not the best one, but it's the only one you can see in camera.
And they will continue putting on or donning their...
Thanks, Jeremy. The next question is from Liam in Elsipogtog, New Brunswick.
And I wonder, do you still see stars in outer space?
Yeah, I was actually just talking to my crewmates about that today. I've definitely seen stars in outer space, and I was saying I haven't seen as many as I thought I would. So, Reid?
We have so much illumination from the sun on the moon and the earth right now. It is hard at times to see stars. Just like when you walk out in the daytime, you see a blue sky but no stars. We look outside and we see the black space and no stars. But tonight we're going to be pointed into deep space, and we're going to turn out all the lights in the spacecraft for the first time on the mission. And if you give yourself about 20 or 30 minutes, we do this all the time on the International Space Station. Christina and I just have great fond memories of this. You'll start to see the stars, and if you give it enough time, you will see so many stars. It's hard to see the constellations because there are so many stars out there. And the coolest part of those stars is they do not twinkle at all. They are just perfect. They almost look fake. They're just perfect pinpricks of light. So that is our homework for tonight, Jeremy. We are doing that.
We'll take a picture.
Great. We now have a question from students in Sanikiluaq, Nunavut.
What types of food do you eat in space, and how do you cook it?
Yeah, so I've only been eating space food for a couple days here, but Christina, she lived in space for pretty close to a year. She's eaten a lot of space food, and so we have a few items here to show you. Christina, you want to help me out?
Sure. Let's see what we're going to pull out. So
my dinner.
This is Jeremy's dinner, and in space you really just eat all of your food out of bags of some kind, plastic bags or little metallic bags, because we have to rehydrate a lot of our food. This is actually shrimp cocktail, and this has been rehydrated already, so we added water to it, and the shrimp soaked back up the water, and it's actually pretty tasty. This is an example of a food that has not been rehydrated yet. It got all dried out for flying up here in space, and those are green beans. So we do have to eat our vegetables even in space, but don't worry, they do give us mac and cheese.
Some of their seats, and they will begin getting into their Orion.
Nous avons maintenant une question dans la salle. Émilie.
Bonjour Jérémy, je m'appelle Émilie et je viens de Saint-Bruno au Québec. Sur la Terre, on voit parfois un croissant de lune. Est-ce que lorsqu'on est autour de la lune, on voit un croissant de terre?
It's all preventative in case the crews would need to don or put on these suits while in a depressurized environment. It's going to get even more crowded in this image. Once the crew puts on their suits, they will connect to umbilicals as well
and before
to
I
get into their seats. Currently in the Orion spacecraft, you can see crew members starting to put on their OX suits. That's Orion Crew Survival System. Those are the iconic international orange suits that the crew wears during launch and re-entry, and they would put on in the event of a cabin depressurization. So today is a test to understand how the crew needs to put on these suits in a cabin depressurization situation. This test helps us refine procedures for future crews that fly on Artemis missions. These suits are developed by the OX team, again, Orion Crew Survival System. They are monitoring today from the Mission Evaluation Room, also known as the MIR, at the chess console. That's Crew Habitation Equipment Support Systems. This console provides expertise on the crew systems and equipment that the astronauts are using throughout the flight. Once the crew are in their suits today, they will need to conduct suit leak checks as well as enter or ingress their seats. They'll have some additional tasks like drinking and eating while in the suit, as well as taking placebo pills through the pill tool. When these suits are pressurized, we do expect it to become more difficult. Again, once we get the crew into these suits and they are pressurized, they will also be on umbilicals. So these are adding a little more difficulty to moving inside the spacecraft and getting seated.
Integrity Houston, we're following along on video. A reminder, when you are moving about the cabin, we want the strain relief carabiner attached, so your umbilical to your suit, and we would also like Cobra buckles fastened for, at minimum, the 2 free float leak check crew members. Copy, thumbs up.
Houston Integrity, com check, seat 1.
Reid, we have you loud and clear from seat 1. Help me.
Loud and clear. Houston Integrity comm check from seat 2.
Seat 2, we have you loud and clear. Helmy.
I have you the same. Houston Integrity, seats 1 and 2, rapids on, complete.
Copy. Rapid dawn complete. Seats 1 and 2. Thank you.
That call coming from Command
And Houston, we'd like to just get a big picture sync across the crew right now.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Let's just sync up so we know where we are. Ike and I are in seats 1 and 2. We are fully suited. We do not have umbilicals connected. And we are in suit on vehicle config step 5, and we are holding there. And then Christina and Jeremy are suiting up on a nominal suit up right now. We believe that's where they should be. Christina has not begun suiting yet, so I think we need to know from you if you could take the operational lead and start walking us through where these 2 distinct groups should be, Victor and I, and Christina and Jeremy.
Copy, Integrity crew. You are all where we expected you to be. Jeremy and Christina can continue pressing with the nominal suit on, and we will have you and Victor pick up with commanding umbilicals to perform the first leak check with 2 crew members. And remember, I have a delta for you on the visors open vent path.
We will always vent overboard today. Stand by.
Good words.
All right, Jenny, and just confirm that you want Ike and I to run 22.2.101 suit on vehicle config for the first 2 crew member leak check. We are not running this from the DFTO, and we will vent overboard.
Affirm.
Okay, thank you.
Now that Victor Glover and Reid Wiseman are suited and in their seats, they are going to step through the leak check procedures. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is a demonstration of the crew putting on their suits on the Orion spacecraft. They would need to do this on orbit if there were a depressurization of the cabin. Otherwise, they wear them during launch and entry. Everything we learned today helps us prepare for future crews to fly on Artemis. And we expect the team to be calling down questions and reports of their status as they move throughout the procedure. With Reid Wiseman and Victor Glover suited and in their seats with leak checks beginning, Christina Koch and Jeremy Hansen, mission specialists for the mission, are continuing to put on their suits. 2 crew members, obviously the commander and the pilot, were asked to put on their suits in a rapid fashion, while our mission specialists were instructed to put on their suits with a normal timeline. Today we are going to be pressurizing the suits to 4.3 psi, on top of the cabin being at 10.2 psi. When these suits are pressurized, they do gain a little bit of volume. You're looking at a live view of Artemis Mission Control here at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. This is the Orbit 1 team on console.
Houston, seats 1 and 2, leak check complete.
We see the same.
That voice, our capsule communicator for today, Jenny Gibbons, Canadian Space Agency astronaut, and Artemis II crew backup. To her right is Tess Caswell, fellow Capcom.
Houston, just confirm for me and Victor, the next step is to go back to step 5 and suit on vehicle config and hold for seats 3 and 4.
Affirm Reid, once Jeremy and Christina are suited, we will have them join you for the next leak check. Your procedure path is correct.
We copy, thanks.
Flight Director Jeff Radigan in red on your screen, leading the Orbit 1 team. Just heard communications from Commander Reid Wiseman aboard the Orion spacecraft, calling down that suit leak checks are complete for he and NASA astronaut Victor Glover, pilot of Artemis II. Meanwhile, aboard the Orion spacecraft, mission specialists Jeremy Hansen and Christina Koch continue to get suited ahead of getting in their seats for their own leak checks as part of this demonstration.
Jenny, do you need something different on HHP? I think I can reach it from here and try to re-aim it.
Affirm, if you can reach it, we will take a tilt downward toward the lockers, please. Reid, we like that view. Thank you. The Integrity crew, I see Jeremy and Christina nearing the end of their suit don. I just want to remind you about the gas trap, which needs to be capped 5 minutes after the last crew member connects to cooling. Please let us know when that's complete.
We got you covered, Jenny. Thanks for the reminder.
Thank you, Reid.
check.
Houston, seat 4, comm check. Seat 4, we have you loud and clear. How me? I have you the same.
Houston Integrity, C3, comm check.
Seat 3, welcome to the party. We have you loud and clear. How me?
Loud and clear, Jenny.
This is Artemis Mission Control with a mission elapsed time of 3 days, 22 hours, and 29 minutes into the flight of Orion. Currently, the crew members aboard the spacecraft are conducting the Ox suit demo. That's Orion Crew Survival System. As you can see, they have put on their international orange suits. These are worn during launch as well as during re-entry, and they would be worn if needed during a cabin depressurization. So this test is to help teams understand how those procedures would need to go should we ever encounter such an event on this or future missions. We've had 4 good communications checks with the crew members now in their suits. Both Reid Wiseman and Victor Glover are in their seats as well. They were part of a rapid don, or quickly putting on their spacesuits, while mission specialists Christina Koch and Jeremy Hansen were instructed to put on their suits at a normal pace.
All right, Houston, we've been on cooling for 5 minutes, so we're going to swap the QD.
Copy, thank you.
Houston Integrity, we have all PCDs stowed, so Jenny, you got the lead.
Copy, all PCDs stowed. Once Jeremy and Christina are complete, we can ensure that their Cobra fittings are connected, and then we can move on to leak checks.
This is Artemis Mission Control. The crew aboard the Orion spacecraft, Reid Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen, continue through the Ox suit demo. That's the Orion Crew Survival System suit. Those orange suits you see the crew in now. Both Commander Reid Wiseman and pilot Victor Glover have ingressed or gotten into their seats. They have also performed comm checks and suit leak checks. Mission specialists Christina Koch and Jeremy Hansen donned or put on their suits in a normal speed, whereas our commander and pilot were asked to do so at a rapid speed. They have also completed communications checks. The crew wears these suits during launch and return to Earth. They are not expected to wear them during the flight. However, they would be available for use during the event of a cabin depressurization. They could provide up to 6 days of a breathable environment for this crew member. So given that this is a test flight, we are taking the opportunity to test how they would get into these suits and pressurize them during that situation. As you can see, those suits are pressurized a little bit, how they've expanded. The crew is conducting leak checks aboard those suits right now.
Yes. Oh shit.